One of the things that's so cool to me about the Coq Inu community is that it's a community-driven project. So it was a fair launch token. So when the token was launched, there's not like a team that kept a certain amount of coins that they were going to use for anything. It was all put out there into the liquidity pool, and the founders had to buy their own tokens themselves, just like anyone else that might have bought tokens. It's pretty much an open project. So if you want to do something with Coq Inu, you can. Just hold one token at least, hopefully a lot more than that, and you can do stuff. So to me, that's one of the things that's most special about this community is that everybody works together to pitch in and make something cool happen just for the sake of making something cool happen and connecting with each other. You're listening to the 26 Podcast with Luke and Adrian. On this show, we celebrate the Web3 community, discuss the latest in blockchain-based projects, and help each other live our best lives. We're glad you're here, so let's get started. What's up, friends? Welcome to the 26 Podcast with Luke and Adrian. We are excited to be here with you today. Age, what's going on, man?
Not much, man. Still coming off the high of 2 weeks ago.
I know. Looks like you're in a very serene environment. Like if you're listening only to the podcast, I would encourage you to go to either Spotify or YouTube and check out the video. You can see Adrian's beautiful scenic backdrop that is not a filter on his phone. It is, in fact, a mountain range behind him with a beautifully manicured lawn and a porch that he built himself. Great stuff. So check it out. If you are in need of any kind of porch work or landscaping, contact Realtor Adrian on Twitter, and
right.
He will advise you as to how to make such a beautiful landscape for yourself.
It definitely looks good. It might be a green screen. I don't know. I've been working on it since we got back.
It's a pretty detailed green screen to put like some binoculars back there.
That's right. You got to make it real, man. You got to make it really good. You got to make the wind blow a little bit, the flowers flow. You know, the crickets crow.
That's right.
Not the crickets crow, but you know, the crickets, whatever they do, flap their wings.
Yeah. You know, actually I watched Pinocchio the other day, but like is it Guillermo del Toro? His version of it. It's a lot more dark than the Disney Pinocchio that I watched, but it's really good. So So speaking of crickets, and their cricket is not named Jiminy Cricket, by the way. It's named Sebastian. So if you
Sebastian
get a chance to watch it, it's on Netflix.
Confirmation name, believe it or not.
Very nice.
Interesting.
Very nice.
How you doing, man? What's going on with you, man? I haven't talked to you since the big event we threw on.
Yeah, no, I'm doing good. I like much better. As listeners, you can tell, I have not talked about a movie in a long time on this show. And that is because I haven't watched anything because I've been in crazy mode. I actually just finished all of my schoolwork for my master's in blockchain. That was a huge win for last week. Around this time last week, actually last Wednesday, is when I was done. But I'm officially done. Graduation's later on this month, and I actually have time to watch things on Netflix and do other things with my life. So it's been great.
Congrats, Luke.
Even had time to get a haircut. So if you're watching on the show, like you'll notice that my crazy long hair is now gone and I have a normal haircut.
It was looking good sticking out of your hat. Remind me when we were kids.
Yeah. So listeners, if you're involved in all with the Avalanche ecosystem, you're probably familiar with an NFT project called Steady. And in that project, a lot of the PFPs in there have like a mullet and some like hair sticking out the back of the hat. And I did very closely resemble one of those. So not that I don't want to, but the Steady that I own has a haircut more like my own haircut that I have now. So I had to match him. His has a mustache versus a goatee, but I stuck with the goatee.
That looks good, man. You look fresh. Thanks. You look energized.
Thanks.
Recharged.
I've actually gotten a little bit of sleep, but let's talk about Coqsensus. So if you're watching on the video version of it, you'll see that I'm wearing the shirt for Coqsensus, brought to us by some great partners at NFTREASURE. If you have not been aware of NFTREASURE, we do have an episode where we interviewed John Ray, the project lead for NFTREASURE. There were some awesome partners in Coqsensus itself. We had lots of folks that were a big part of it, but one of the things that was a part of it was you can get a shirt, and there's an NFC chip. You can actually access it, but it was a great time. But Adrian, why don't you, what was your favorite thing about Coqsensus? Or maybe we should talk about what it was in case folks are not familiar.
Yeah, I mean, I think a little recap. So it was, if anybody's familiar with one of the, I would say probably top 3, maybe top 5 crypto conferences called Coqsensus, and Luke and I have actually gone to that the last 3 years. So this was our 3rd year attending, where you just it's more business to business type of conference, to where you learn more about the in-depths, companies that are involved with DeFi, with blockchains, with everything in between. And Luke and I I would say Luke actually came up to the idea of throwing an in real life event that was named Coqsensus, off of the meme coin Coq. And Luke, I have to give you some props, man. It was a phenomenal location. The bar that we actually held this event was called Al Cockfight Bar, and it's kind of based on, if you guys have listened to the prior episodes of Chikn, or Chikn NFT, or the Chikn NFT project, it was Luke thought it was a phenomenal time. He's like, we're gonna throw something here someday, I just know it. And it truly came to fruition, with simply just a simple idea of me and Luke wandering downtown, going by this Al Cockfight Bar, and it just fit in so many different ways, with the Chikn NFT project, with the Coq meme coin, with Coqsensus. There was just a lot of moving gears, moving wheels that Luke and I were talking about, and but truly it was something that we just wanted to combine with the conference, because one of the things with the crypto conferences, or blockchain conferences, Web3 conferences, I don't even know what you're even supposed to call it anymore, but the cool thing is that everybody's basically there, right? All the who's who of blockchain is there, all the main creators, devs, CEOs, everybody of any blockchain, generally, because it's a business to business conference, is typically there. So I think for this in real life event with Coqsensus, it was just kind of I would say, Luke, a perfect storm. Yeah. I don't think it would have been the same turnout if it was just random and not around another crypto conference, because we got some huge names, some big important people within the Avalanche blockchain that did attend the event. A lot of people that are also building onto the Avalanche blockchain, the Coq founders, you name it, everybody was there. It was a little intimidating. I'm sure you were a little intimidated too, Luke, because we had a little over 1,000 RSVPs, and the venue held 300, which we reserved 200 up on the rooftop. And I think, I'm sure I'm not alone, but I mean, I'm kind of used to doing some banquet serving, 300, 400 people parties back in the day during my my server days at the during college at a popular hotel. And it was just different, I think, Luke, because you and I were in charge, and everything kind of like, there was no like going to a manager and say, hey, what should I do in this case? Like, this is what's going on. Like, truly, we just did it. And yeah. I have to say, man, we pretty much knocked it out of the fucking park, dude. I would gladly say, man, and I have to give you some props too, because you put a lot of work into it, man. A lot of pre-work with the banners, with stickers, with lining things up. It was pretty impressive, dude. But I can't say that I wasn't nervous and that I wasn't a little freaked out. It's like having a party, right? And what if nobody shows up? Even though I know there's 1,000 people that are RSVP, but what if nobody shows up? I mean, we knew that our hardcore main community members from the Chikn NFT project, or Coq, were going to show up, because a lot of people were talking about how they were going to go. But it was like intimidating. Like, dude, what if 50% of these people show up? What if 40% show up? What are we going to do?
Yeah.
But anyway, Luke, I think that was my high, dude. It's a little bit of a blur. But truly, I think my highlights of the evening were truly just meeting a lot of people that we spend a lot of time on spaces with, and just kind of go back and forth with conversations. I join a lot of spaces, X spaces with the Bokcast and Wex After Dark, and truly just meeting a lot of these guys that we've known for 2 years, and actually meeting them in real life, I think was just phenomenal. So it was like a super high stress, and then it just kind of teetered off, and I was like, oh, this isn't so bad. And I won't talk about the humidity and the heat because I was I was an absolute sweat ball, dude. I should have I dropped it somewhere. I don't know where it went, but I had one of, I call it a fat man rag because I'm a little heftier these days, so I think my body temperature just kind of retains the heat. But I was the bouncer at Al Cockfight Bar gave me one of his racks. He's like, yeah, I usually keep about 7 of these. Here, I got one on my back pocket. And I used it. Scooter's fucking awesome, dude. He was a cool dude. But I lost it somewhere. And dude, I was a hot mess, dude. Like seriously. I was just sweating everywhere. I was not acclimated. I'm used to being up here. This is like 7,400 feet. It's like 66 degrees right now. 69 degrees. But I mean, so going, what was it, Luke? I think it was like 85, 90 degrees with about 80% humidity.
Oh, I didn't even check. But yeah, it was a little toasty for sure.
Dude, the wife was saying it was like, you know how it says on it feels like? It felt like 111, dude.
Yeah.
It was what it said. I didn't look at it either because I didn't want, I was just thinking maybe I was just hot. But anyway, what about you, Luke? What was your experience and what did you like?
Yeah, no, I thought it was great, and definitely kudos go right back to you, Van, because there was a ton of stuff that you handled that I found out later that you had taken care of that I didn't even think about. So I thought it was great, like just getting the DJ all set up, getting everything coordinated last minute. It's one of those things where like you can kind of plan out all the stuff, but then there's all these details that come up like in the moment. And so kind of between the two of us kind of running around and figuring out those last details, I think was definitely tough. But we did good. And also shout out with the walkie-talkies that I think really helped out. So my girlfriend Jackie had walkie-talkies available from her work, because she works in the medical industry, and they needed them for something they were doing, and we got a chance to borrow them. And we, if anything, looked like official. Like people were
like the Men in Black if we were wearing suits.
We did. We had because
we looked official. Nobody stopped me anywhere. I mean, granted, they might have to see me going back and forth, but nobody stopped me going from anywhere.
No, I mean we had the little like clear like thing, like earpiece thing going down. Like we looked like legit. We're the Secret Service, so
it was
definitely legit.
And I'm gonna give a shout out to Grenville too, because Grenville was working the stairs.
Yeah,
and dude, he fucking stepped up and really helped out quite a bit. He felt super official with the walkie-talkie. I almost feel like people would love to just have the walkie-talkie next time, just to feel like that powerful, I guess, that much prestige that I've got a walkie-talkie. There's things going on in my ear that you don't know about.
Exactly.
So it was awesome, dude.
Yeah,
that was stressful, dude, setting up those stupid walkie-talkies because some of them didn't work.
Yeah, but yeah, and like just speaking about like kind of the early part of the event, like I think that there were, I felt bad because there were folks that I like really wanted to connect with and spend some time with that I maybe got just like a few seconds to chat with them, and then kind of totally like went into other things because it was just so like a lot going on. So shout out to Mike and Manny from Project Bankman. Like they got there early. They helped us set up. Awesome dudes, both within their own projects, but also just good friends. Like they came and helped out, and I felt bad because I got to talk with them for like a few seconds when they first got there, and then I didn't see him again. But it was just wild. So when we opened, the ground floor was basically our quote unquote line. So because
the waiting room,
because we had the rooftop and not the whole bar, everyone could come in, but they couldn't get up the stairs until we checked them in. And so me and the two other folks that were actually working the door were like frantically getting everybody checked in as quickly as we could, getting a wristband on them, getting their drink tickets to them, getting them upstairs. And it was a wild time, but I did get to personally greet and put wristbands on all of the VIPs that came through as well. So that was kind of cool, I think. But
That was pretty cool.
but yeah, but then finally, I think about an hour and a half into the event, I got to go upstairs and like see what was going on up there, which was cool. But just overall, I think just the event and listeners, like I don't know if we really talked about what it was or what it was about, other than related to Coq and Chikn and all that kind of thing. But really, one of the things that's so cool to me about the Coq Inu community is that it's a community driven project. So it was a fair launch token. So when the token was launched, there's not like a
Right.
team that kept a certain amount of coins that they were going to use for anything. It was all put out there into the liquidity pool, and the founders had to buy their own tokens themselves, just like anyone else that might have bought tokens. And so, as a part of that, it's like, the founders manage like the X account and certain other things, but it's pretty much an open project. So if you want to do something with Coq Inu, you can just hold one token at least, hopefully a lot more than that, and you can do stuff. So Adrian and I are part of the community. We thought it'd be fun to do something like this, so we put this together. We recruited in some other folks that helped make it awesome. So I just want to give a quick shout out to the folks that did do that. So NFTREASURE stepped up huge. John Ray, his team, all kind of pitched in both in the planning, but also with some pretty awesome stuff at the event. So they had t-shirt pressing live on the space. They had custom NFC enabled trading cards that you could take with some AI that would turn you into a cartoon. They had, all kinds. They had like some stickers and other giveaways and things like that. The Coq Inu team themselves stepped up big with a huge sponsorship for the event. Obviously, they were there as well, having fun with everybody. Even like members of the community, like Grenville, helping out with both the planning, but also with, from helping coordinate some of the sponsorships, those kinds of things as well. Avalabs through the Avalanche Ambassador program sponsored a great amount of stuff. The Chikn team, some great giveaways that we had for the event. The Bokcast, Clint, making sure Clint Wex, making sure that everyone knew about the event. So we kind of started the idea, but we could not possibly have made this all happen without some amazing partners that helped make this thing just such a special thing. And I think, to me, that's one of the things that's most special about this community, is that everybody works together to pitch in and make something cool happen, just for the sake of making something cool happen and connecting with each other. So no one profited off of the event. It was just, we want to do something fun with people that we like, and maybe recruit some more people that we're also going to like. So I thought it was great.
Dude, you're absolutely right, man. And I think you nailed it too. I mean, it was one thing, you and I definitely had an idea, but it was, when it came down to it, it was a team effort for sure, with everybody that you mentioned. It's the promoting of the event through the Bokcast and through Wex After Dark. That was absolutely huge. I think that definitely had built up some FOMO for the people that were not able to make it, and it definitely brought in, I think, a lot of folks and got the excitement going, because I think it was, man, I wish I could have gone back as like a non-planner and runner or host and just kind of hung out a little bit more.
Yeah.
Because, dude, I didn't see the photo booth. I saw it. I just didn't do anything with it. I was just like, I want to hang out. I want to drink a beer. I want to talk to a few people. And if I could have just gone back and relived that moment, one other, like Groundhog Day, right? Just one more moment, and just kind of hung out with everybody and met more people, like really focused on it.
Yeah.
Because I think when the hype of the party that was going on, there were so many people there. And dude, I think you and I were just running crazy, making sure people were getting in, making sure that that we weren't blocking fire exits and blocking a bunch of other stuff. And of course, they wanted us to move the line. I was like, well, this is the waiting room because you didn't give us the downstairs. So, you know what I mean? But it was so cool just running into the people that we always run into. Steve, man, I wish I had more time to talk to Steve in person. Everybody. And it was just like, dude, everybody was like, hey, Adrian. And dude, I was like, I got to go up front. I got to go up front. I got to go check it out. I got to go. I mean, it was just, anyway, I don't want to talk about how stressful it was, but it was truly, man, it was cool. And I think that what made it really awesome though, too, was hanging out with everybody, even after the fact.
Yep.
And it wasn't the same because not everybody could gather. And of course, that would have taken, I mean, 2 times as much planning if we tried to do an event with everybody kind of hanging out like the next day or the next 2 days. But even just hanging out with the smaller group, um, not one on one, but I mean, just playing some cornhole, drinking some beers, man, it was cool, man. And I think, and you're right, Luke, that the community part of it, to where nobody is doing this for a benefit or trying to be profitable from it. It's truly just doing this as a community to hang out with other like-kind community members. And I think that's what made it so special. It was truly just a community event that made it so awesome.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I think that one of the things that I think I forgot to shout out as well, like just a lot of the folks that came, like they came only for this event. So there was a consensus conference that Adrian and I went to. Some of the other folks did also go to that, which is like Adrian was mentioning before. It's a blockchain technology based conference, crypto, NFTs, all of those kinds of things, but more on the builder side of things, not so much the consumer side. So some folks were there for that, but a whole lot of folks came just to be together as part of the community. And I think that, and in some cases they're, just members of the community in terms of, they are a holder, they participate in things. In other cases, they're other projects that are Coq aligned, as we say, which, there's like the Kong project folks were there. There were other folks that are there. And I think that one of the things that's neat, if you're not familiar with Coq or you're just kind of curious about what that is, you're just anybody that is welcome to be a part of that, whether you're a person, whether you're a project, whether you're a podcast like us. So 26 podcast is Coq aligned. And then, you can also be in there. And if you're interested in learning more about who's involved in this ecosystem, one of our community members, Dano, has a great infographic that we'll link in the show notes that you can check out. And just to see the massive amount of folks that are aligned with kind of the vision of what this community is. I haven't counted them, but just eyeballing it, I would say there's at least 60, 100, tons of folks
80,
that are a part of it.
80's my guess. It's 2 pages, and you got to zoom in to really read those names.
For sure.
So what about the and going into the conference part? I mean, obviously that the Coqsensus was definitely the highlight of the entire event. Hanging out with some of the community members was obviously a huge part of the event as well. Did you did you get any takes from the conference in itself? I know you and I kind of spent the first day leading up to Coqsensus. We spent some time in the convention center, listening to a few speakers, walking through some of the booths, and just learning a little bit more. But did you have some good takes on the actual conference itself?
Yeah, I think a couple of things stood out to me. Like you said, we didn't get a chance to do a whole lot of the talks during the first day, because like even one of the talks I really wanted to see, which I'm glad they actually have them available for streaming so we can watch them later. I was so focused on getting the PO app up and running that it was like, okay, I really want to hear this. I have to get this PO app because the event's in 4 hours. But a couple of them that we saw. So Avalanche had a feature on HyperSDK, which is a coding language that you can use that's meant to be a whole lot faster than like certain things with Solidity and more scalable and that kind of thing. So I thought that one was really good. Really loved the way that they showed how the ecosystem of subnets functions within the Avalanche consensus mechanism. I thought that was really cool. It's one that I really want to kind of dig into a whole lot more. So now that I'm done with school, there's a whole Avalanche Academy that I'm going to take. It's free. If anyone's interested in learning more about Avalanche, you can totally do that. But that was one that stood out to me. Another big one was just real world assets was one of the big topics. I know Chainlink is doing a lot in that space. There's other companies that are as well, but I think that's something that we're going to start to see a whole lot more of, as people don't necessarily have to think about the fact that it's a token on a blockchain, but it's representation of something that's important in the world, whether it be a commodity or something else. I think is going to be big. So I think heard that one, that topic quite a bit, just kind of throughout. And then we actually with a couple other folks from the community, listened to just folks talking about meme coins in general, and like just the value that they offer and kind of what they create, which is kind of along the lines of what we've been talking about today, where, you know, community driven, it's about fun, it's about engagement, that kind of thing. So those are probably my three main takeaways that I had, in addition just to, you know, meeting people that are building cool stuff.
You know, I think one of the cool parts was Evan's talk about AI and blockchain, and how one makes the other one better and vice versa. That was definitely, I think, you know, kind of an eye opener too on how AI is definitely going to make it easier for the typical person to be a little bit more involved in crypto, and maybe building something without having the ability to code. I think that was huge, and I see how these two technologies are constantly kind of like combining into each other, whether they want to or not. But it's almost just it's the glove fits type of deal where they just work really well together. Other than that, I think it was just meeting, you know, making connections. One of our prior guests, Gary Cardone, was also there. We went to Karate Combat, saw Gary there, went to an after party, got into I'll skip the details, but got into the VIP of the VIP.
You were invited to the VIP. That's exactly how you got in.
Yeah, that's how I got there with Gary, because I had to find him first, and it was a whole ordeal on how I got up there. But anyway, you know, hanging out with him, talking to him a little bit more in detail. We were also hanging out in the private VIP. I don't know what you call that thing, veranda or whatever it might be.
The VVIP.
The VVIP. But you know, the co-founders of the founders of Zebu, which is a telecommunication company through the blockchain, which we are going to be having as guests at some point as well. But anyway, that was probably one of the biggest highlights as well. Besides Coqsensus, was just hanging out with some cool folks, and truly just man, just taking it all in, man. You know, not just the humidity in the air, because I'm so dry, and I was taking in the humidity and I was swelling up, but truly just taking in the energy of not only the conference, but the energy that Austin brings into the town. And I sense it. Obviously, we're there majority of the time when Austin is just jamming with South by Southwest or Coqsensus, or I haven't gone to the Austin city limits yet, but I mean, it's amazing how much energy the town can bring in from day to day. And shout out to Doug, the owner of the Onion Pizzeria, for serving slices to me nonstop, and staying open longer than what he was wanting to, because he wasn't aware of Coqsensus or Coqsensus. But he definitely filled my belly with delicious pizza over a couple of nights, well needed pizza. But man, it just I'm always excited, Luke. I think, you know, I'm excited about just the people that we met at Coqsensus. Stephen Gates, who's the founder of GoGo Pool, we're going to have him on the show, so definitely look into him coming on. I definitely want to get the Zebu guys in here to talk more about the telecommunications in Web3 and through the blockchain and what they're doing. I'm just excited, man. I think I'm excited.
Yeah, no, it's great. I think just a lot of great things there. Just to kind of touch back on what you were saying about Evan's talk, I thought that was one that I thought was really cool to hear, because usually when I hear about the connection between AI and the blockchain, the context I hear that is the blockchain being the verification of whether AI is authentic or not. So like things like deep fakes or things like that, like you'd be able to verify on the blockchain, like, okay, was this signed by Gary Vee's wallet, for example? Oh, that really was him, versus if it didn't have that signature, then you wouldn't necessarily know that, and it could be a fake and that kind of thing. So it was cool to also hear the reverse of that situation, where the AI makes the blockchain easier to interact with, which there's a couple of them. We've had some conversation with folks that work on Morpheus about how you can do some things like that as well. But I just think it's just kind of shows further proof that, like, hey, these are not like conflicting technologies. These are things that really are going to help each other both be better, which is interesting because not this past year, but the year before, when we were at South by Southwest, there were a lot of AI talks that were kind of talking trash about the blockchain as if, you know, their thing offered real value to the world and our thing doesn't offer real value, which AI is also our thing, by the way. But they were talking about it in that way where it's like, no, like you're not seeing the potential that these things work together. Like technology builds on itself and helps each other to be better. So I thought that was one that was just cool to see both examples of how, you know, Emin and other thought leaders in this space are thinking about things.
Yeah, no, absolutely, man. I'm excited. I like tools. I like, calculator watches. Anything that can help me do things more efficiently are always better, right?
Yeah.
It just, AI as a tool, the blockchain as proof of ownership is absolutely huge. Touching back on what you were saying about the RWAs or real world assets is kind of an understatement. I think a lot of people balk about the necessity of it, but I don't think they realize how important it truly is and how important it's going to be in terms of course, what I'm passionate about with real estate, because it makes a whole lot of sense with, say, the chain of title or just how fast you might be able to sell an asset down the line, or what assets are actually owned by and who they're owned by. So like, say, even the mortgages or mortgage-backed securities. I think it's going to be really interesting, and I'm sure you probably saw it too, Luke. Is that a lot of the event or the focus on consensus was business to business, but it was really blockchain with financial institutions, and how that's going to benefit them. And I have to say, a lot of those big dogs were there, and they want to structure a lot of products on the blockchain. And when you can see, say, some type of fund and what kind of assets they own. You think back to like 2008, 2009, through the financial crisis, you didn't know which mortgages were in default or not in default and which funds actually own them. So when you actually can do it real time and it's recorded and transparent on the blockchain, it starts to really make a whole lot of sense on how this all fits into real world assets or RWAs and the blockchain. So when I start hearing more about it, it just, I get a little excited because, that's going to touch on to vehicles, trading cards, art. There's never ever going to be a question on who owns the asset, because they're going to have the digital asset that may follow into the actual physical asset. And I think Gary Vee's touched on a lot of that with some of, his V friends and some of the collecting cards. We probably aren't going to talk a whole lot about VeeCon. I'm sure we're all getting a little excited. It's a little bit early, but definitely going to be excited for that. I think, you start hearing more and more about it. And I think sometimes, Luke, and I don't know if you agree with me or not, but sometimes when people start to think like, oh, that's dumb, why do I need that? I've got the physical thing. I got the physical asset. I have the deed. What do I need that for? It just reminds me of why, when people were saying, why do I need the internet? I got a fax machine. I got a telephone.
Right.
It's like, what do I need? I have a typewriter. Yeah. What do I need that for?
There was somebody that was talking about that recently, where they were talking about all the people that laughed about how novel emails were. And like, I have a fax machine. Why would I need that? Yeah. Like there was literally, I heard that said, maybe we're in the same talk and heard that together, but just like, yeah, it's ridiculous.
Dude, I have a fax machine. I have a fax machine.
You?
I have one at my office too.
Do you
and
use
it's
it?
Like, no. No. I mean, that's how stupid they are. I mean, now you look back and say, man, that's stupid. I won't talk about my conversation with Dad on how he thinks a fax machine was such a great invention. But the fact that I can actually scan, I did it today. I scanned a document. I scanned some receipts onto my phone, put them into the cloud. And then if I want to email them, I can email them. If I want to reference them to them, I don't have to worry about sticking it in a stupid filing cabinet or putting it in a pile of papers that I eventually will file. Digitalizing things is a sense of organization and just keeping things in place without them occupying all your real world space, per se, right?
One thing that made me remember, so at the conference, I don't know if you went through this same door and got these really high pressure salespeople, but there were some folks selling physical Bitcoin. Did you pass by them at the conference floor?
No, were they the dollars? Like they're actually like dollar bitcoins?
No, they're coins or they're cards, depending on how much. I think the coin is 0.001 Bitcoin, and then the card is 0.01. And so basically what it is it's a private key and a public key on a sticker on a gold looking coin. I don't know if it's made of gold. And you can, so that way the idea is that if you want to give somebody, let's say you wanted to give dad some Bitcoin, then I could give him that and he could hold it in his hands and hold the coin. And like they were really high pressure sales. Like the guy was like, I got to sell this today. You got to buy this from me today. I was like, really? But the point of it is like, no, what do I want a physical Bitcoin for? Right. What am I going to do with it? It's just waiting for me to lose that. Like, no, I want to, if I'm going to have some Bitcoin, I want to have it in a wallet that I control and don't have to worry about trusting that nobody else has taken a picture of this QR code that has the private and public key on it. So it was just kind of silly, but
it's kind of like selling fax machines.
Yeah.
It's like you taking a great technology and going in reverse.
Yeah. So I just thought it was funny that they were pushing those so hard. But I guess, I mean, maybe for some people that are like, I don't think anybody that's at a crypto conference is trying to buy those things. I think that maybe somebody that, like maybe our parents, that want to maybe buy it and feel comfort in holding it. But I just
like a stock certificate. I wouldn't give Dad one. I wouldn't buy him one. He would lose it. I mean, no way. He wouldn't know what to do with it.
A stack of papers.
No. Yeah. No.
Anything else that you want to share with folks?
No, man. Just stay tuned, guys. I mean, I think we've got a lot of prospects out there of guests that we want to have on the show. We definitely, I think Luke and I are, we're a little bit knowledgeable in the space, but we're always seeking to have more knowledge, and we want to have other guests on here too to kind of share that knowledge of what they're building and what they're doing. So I would say stay tuned. If you guys haven't heard or even know about what Luke and I are talking about with some of these other projects, I would definitely go back to some of the shows, give those a listen, because it's going to bring you a little up to speed on what some of the main projects are, and also what Luke and I are also a part of, and what's just some of the cool technology that's coming out. So man, just stay tuned. Give a subscribe. I think spring break for Luke and I is over. We're definitely here, and we're pretty committed to keep this ball rolling with great content. So appreciate you guys.
Awesome. All right. Well, that's going to do it for us today. Listeners, thanks so much for joining us. And Adrian, can you remind everyone where to find you on socials?
Yeah, give me a follow on X at Realtor Adrian. Instagram Realtor Adrian 505. I'm rarely there though. I'm mainly on X. That's the best place to DM me or shoot me over a follow. So yeah, always appreciate to talk to you guys more in detail if you guys have some questions.
Awesome. And you can find me at Luke152, or you can find 26Media at 26Media on all socials. All right. Well, that's going to do it today. Thanks so much for joining, everyone. Talk to you later.
26.
Thanks for tuning in and spending some quality time with us. We're all about bringing value, and we hope today's episode hit the mark for you. If you like what you heard, follow us wherever you get your podcast. And while you're at it, give us a rating and share some comments, letting us know what you'd like us to cover in future episodes. If you know someone who'd appreciate our content as much as you do, we'd love it if you share this podcast with them. It really means the world to us and helps get the word out. Here's to growing together and bringing you more incredible content week after week. Until next time, friends, keep chasing your potential and living your best Web3 life.